Hey everybody, it's Yasmin here. Lovely to talk to you. I wanted to today talk about Venus retrograde and a Venus retrograde dilemma that one of my beautiful readers posed. And honestly, it was such a Venus retrograde thing. I thought it's a great way for people to learn about Venus retrograde. She wrote, struggling with Venus at the moment. I've been with my husband for 21 years, but the guy I thought was my soulmate when I was a teen and young adult is now available and we may be getting connected again. I am torn. I just need some guidance other than my friends telling me that I don't want to have any regrets. Need more insight on this. So this really is classic Venus retrograde. Why? Because Venus is the planet of love, and when Venus starts to go backwards, we can start to think about loves from the past. It's just what happens. It's not a bad thing. It's not a good thing. It can just happen. Just as we can also start to do other things, like we can get money from the past, or we can reevaluate our whole life. We can reevaluate our relationships. But a very common thing is issues to do with exes, unresolved issues to do with exes coming up. And this is a classic case because this lovely lady's been married for 21 years, but now this guy from her, her youth is back with that tantalizing possibility of, maybe reliving it all. So what is she meant to do? I personally, I'm not going to say what I think I would do. I hope my husband knows. But this is what I wanted to suggest to you and to anyone who's having any Venus retrograde issues, okay? So number one is throw yourself into the dilemma. Now that means immerse yourself in it. Get into it. Watch the whole of this video. Do some of the things I say in here. Actually do them. Get into it. Live it spiritually, live it energetically, throw yourself in. You will be amazed at what happens when you start to really feel all your feelings at any time. And Venus retrograde is such a good time to feel your feelings about anything to do with relationships. All right, and feel it through before you act. It's very easy for your friends to say, oh, you don't want to have any regrets, you should go and see him. I mean, really? What about if you've got a beautiful family that you care about and, this guy was trouble? It may not be the best thing to do. Feel it through first anyway, okay? And I would even go so far as to say is, perhaps allow yourself all of the retrograde before you act. Venus retrograde lasts for about 40 days. So feel it through and wait for the retrograde to end. Let the cycle play out if you want to. Don't have to. It's a good thing to do. Meditate and pray or chant. Do whatever it is that gives you a moment to yourself. And, it's great if you chant and it's great if you pray. It's great if you meditate. It's great if you do yoga, but it's also great if you go for a walk, earbuds in or not in, headphones on or not on, but just give yourself time to think because this is a really big thing, okay? And Venus retrograde is a big thing. It only happens every 18 months. Okay, and another one, ask the question. So what should I do about my Venus retrograde dilemma, whatever it may be? Should I get back with my ex? Should I call up my ex? Do I need to reevaluate how I feel about my partner? Am I taking my partner for granted? Can I make up with my old friend? What's going to happen if I reach out to my old friend that I had a falling out with that I still love and I miss? Ask the question and take an oracle card, okay? Take an oracle card. What does that card tell you? What does it make you feel? What message do you feel you're getting from your higher self? Because I believe when we take an oracle card, we're actually manifesting the card that appears and it's a message from our higher self. So what's that card telling you? Because you're setting the intention. You're putting the intention out there. Okay, higher self, give me some guidance. And I hope that's what you do when you get your cards. That's why we dedicate our cards when we get them, but I'm digressing. So ask the question and find an answer from your oracle deck and then journal about how that card made you feel, what it told you. It's really important to write it down. Why? Because then you can actually read back over it later that day, next morning, next night, while you think about it. Feel all your feelings, okay? So they are my recommendations. I'd also strongly suggest, though, because I'm very moon focused, that you also work with the moon as you move through Venus retrograde. And you can always find out what phase the moon is in on my website, yasminboland.com. I'll put the link in the description. And basically, whenever you watch this, Venus will be retrograde for a whole lunar cycle always, because she's retrograde for around 40 days and the lunar cycle only takes about 29. So whenever you read this, okay, whenever you watch this, at the dark moon, what you want to do is release any negativity you're feeling about your situation, okay? Decide that your heart is open, including to your husband, okay? So just open your heart. This is in particular for the reader who wrote in, but for anyone, just decide that your heart is open. At new moon, set the intention to work through your Venus retrograde dilemma, whatever it is, okay? I've given you lots of possibilities. It can be about finances as well, about, does my job, is it worth it? What I have to do for my work, is it worth it? How do I feel about my job? At the new moon, set the intention to work through this, and then at the first quarter moon, a week later, write in your journal what you are grateful for, okay? What you are grateful for. It just takes you out of your ego, okay? It's a really good sort of circuit breaker to do when you're doing this kind of work. At full moon, offer your dilemma up to the divine if you haven't already solved it, okay, or offer the situation up to the divine if you have. And again, at last quarter moon, if you haven't solved it, double release it. Just get outside, write it all down on a piece of paper, get outside and burn the piece of paper. So they are all my top tips to answer the question, but I also hope that they've given whoever watches this some ideas about how best to work with Venus retrograde. For those of you who've got no clue who I am, I'm Yasmin Boland. I'm an award-winning astrologer. I'm a best-selling Hay House author of books including Moonology and the Moonology Oracle cards. And I do have a free Venus retrograde course that I can offer you if you haven't done it yet. If you want to work with Venus retrograde, it's free. The link is there, and I'll also write it above. Just go to moonmessages.com/VR for Venus retrograde. And I'm wishing you all the best for this potentially very beautiful cycle. Lots of love.